Hi everybody, welcome along to another Keyboard World live session, and I've been demoted to the far end of the office today, hence all the rubbish in the background. There's quite a bit of rubbish at the other end, but it's my dear mate Andy Carville.
What are you talking about there? What are you talking about me?
No, would I ever? It's lovely to see so many of you online with us again. I hope you're going to enjoy this afternoon. In fact, I know you're going to enjoy this afternoon. Andy's going to be showing us something which I know a lot of people are interested in, and this is how to put a multi-track arrangement together. And Andy, as always, is using his trusty Korg PA1000. I just cannot separate him from this product. To be honest, I understand why, because it's a phenomenal keyboard. But Andy's going to be showing us a couple of ways to approach doing a sequence. One is literally starting from scratch, and he'll just do a simple 3 or 4 track arrangement of a well-known piece of music. Then he's going to show you how, let's call it a little shortcut, shall we, Andy?
Yes, why not?
A great way of getting started. So, as I say, welcome on board this afternoon. If you have any questions as we go through, I'm in charge of the questions, so fire them at us. And Andy's looking a bit perplexed, but he'll do his best to answer them
Well, you
for you.
worried me slightly because you used the word live. You never told me this, boy.
No, I know. Otherwise, I wouldn't have got you here.
That's true.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have got you here. So, look, the other thing we're going to do through this afternoon's webinar, I may pop up from time to time, but a lot of people after the last webinar said, can we have an image of the screen? The answer is yes, we can. There is a slight problem when you output the Korg screen via HDMI, which we have to do to put it on the video mixer. Unfortunately, it just crops the top and the bottom of the screen, but I hope that you'll see the bulk of it, and we can go through. So, without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to my very good friend, really, Mr. Andy Carville.
Well, thank you, Paul. And indeed, welcome everybody. Live? Good grief. I'm as live as I ever am, I suppose. It's a lovely day, beautiful sunshine. Nice and warm in here, Paul.
Yes.
Yes, very warm in here.
Yeah.
Yes, lovely. And as Paul has just said, we're going to be taking a close look at the sequencer. If I do appear slightly distracted, it's because Paul is usually here, and unfortunately, while I look at the camera, he is just over to the right. So, frankly, it's a bit distracting with the weird faces that he pulls, strange clothes he wears, and all of those sort of odd things. So, without further ado, let's crack on. And as Paul said, today's topic really is the sequencer, all things sequencer. I am using my trusty PA1000. I know for a fact if you don't have one of these at home, you probably do have a sequencer inside your instrument, and I know for a fact that Yamaha instruments use a system which is very, very, very similar to this. I know that because when I first started sequencing, which was way back in sort of 2007, 2008, I had a Tyros, I think it was a Tyros 3, was it a 3, I think? Yeah, you don't know, do you? You weren't there. I think it was a Tyros 3. It was either a Tyros 2 or a Tyros 3. And the sequencer worked in virtually the same way that this sequencer works in here. Now, we're going to take things right from the very beginning. And as Paul said, we're going to look at 2 ways. In a forthcoming edition of the Keyboard World magazine, we're doing a closer look at how we use the sequencer in conjunction with a style. We're going to do a little bit of that right at the end of today, but I thought we'd start today just using the instrument as a completely blank page. Now, why you would want to do this? Well, I'm going to try and replicate a small combo, a small selection of instruments. So we're going to have basically a piano trio. That's piano, bass and drums, and then on top of that, playing the melody, I'm going to have a solo instrument. So I've got 4 musicians, if you like, that I'm trying to replicate here. So I don't want a big style accompaniment. I want to keep it relatively straightforward, and I want to be able to hear those 4 musicians doing their thing clearly. So we've started right from the beginning, and the screen that you can currently see, or that I'm currently got here, is the screen that when you first turn on the instrument, this is what I see. Okay, so we are starting right from the very beginning. The first button I need to press is just over here to the left of the screen, and it's marked sequencer.
Can you speak up?
So if I just press sequencer, we now see this screen here. Okay. Now what that screen is actually telling me is I've got here before me 8 individual little boxes. They've got 8 individual little instrument icons in. Okay. I'm not sure whether you can see the very bottom of this screen, but it actually says T01, T02. For T, read track. So it's track 01, track 2, track 3, etc, etc. And I can see 8 of those. I've actually got 16 of these altogether that I can use if I want to. And to see tracks 9 to 16, I press a button here which is called track select, which is that one there. And now those icons have changed. I don't know whether you can see the bottom of the screen, I'm not sure, but it says T09 all the way through to T16. Okay. Now I'm just going to be using actually the first 4 tracks of the sequencer to put in my basic recording of my quartet of musicians, my piano player, my bass player, my drummer, and my soloist on top there. So how do I start this process? Okay, well, I'm going to record firstly track number 1. And how do I do this? So let's just first press the record button, and I now get a choice of different options. I'm going to use multi-track. I've also got a backing sequence which is marked quick record, and then I've got a step backing sequence. Backing sequence, the middle one, is when you're going to use an accompaniment style, which we'll look at in a little later in this session. And step backing sequence, I never use it at all, because frankly step backing sequence is when you're not actually really a keyboard player and you want to put in a recording bar by bar, literally as the name suggests, step by step, by programming in the chord changes, etc. But I suppose I'm quite lucky I can actually do the chord changes myself if I want to. But we're going to start with this multi-track sequence option at the top here. So all I'm going to do is press OK. And now I see this screen. Now the first thing I'm going to do, because I'm going to use the metronome, okay, to help me stick all of this recording together. So I need the meter to be on 4/4, so it's counting four beats in a bar. That's the metronome. If I wanted a different time signature, I can just literally turn the wheel here and I can get 3/4/4/4, etc. Weird time signatures like 7/4 if you wanted to. But I want 4/4, and I also want the tempo to be actually at 80. I know that, Paul, because I've been practicing. So I need that at 80, tempo at 80, and the meter at 4/4. Now let's have a listen just to what the metronome, which is just a button here, actually is doing. There we go. 2, 3, 4. The bell is on the 1. 3, 4. There's the bell. 2, 3, 4. Fine. That's exactly what I want. So I'm now going to record track number 1. You can probably see here a little red light. All the others are green, and the red light means that's the track I'm recording. Okay? Couple of things just before I actually go in there. Don't expect this because this is live. there'll be some bum notes in here and things, but if it goes horribly wrong, the beauty of the sequencer is you can just wipe that out and start again. So if I do something really bad and it all goes terribly wrong, then I'll wipe it out and do it again. Okay, you just have to bear with me on that particular one. So here's our metronome. We're going to get a 4-beat count in, and I'm going to record now. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that was okay. I think that sort of worked. I've stopped the recording now just by pressing record again. Now comes a very important process, and that is to save this. I'm sort of happy with that. It was good enough to show you what we're doing here. So I'm going to save what I've just done, and to the sort of right hand top area of the screen we have a little drop down box. It's just over here.
Yeah, sadly, Andy, that's one of the bits that's cropped off.
Oh dear, oh dear. Okay,
but
okay.
Yeah, and
but anyway, it's just an arrow pointing down. It means like a computer drop down box. So if I press that, I can now see all these different options. Now, the first thing to show you, which I'm not going to press because I want to keep this, is if I wasn't happy with that and just wanted to do it again, I'd press undo. Okay, and that would wipe out that, and I can do it again. That's fine. This time I want to save. So the second option down here is save song. Okay, so I'm going to save. Now you may not have recognised the tune because it's just a bit of a chord sequence, that is. It's just using the different chords in the background. The tune is Blue Moon. Okay, who would have known? Press save here. It's saying at the moment the tune is called New Song, because that's what the keyboard thinks it is. I can call it anything I want to. I can call it Andy's Song, Blue, whatever. It doesn't really matter. So I press the T. T means text. So there we go. And I'm going to wipe out everything that's there. And I'm going to put in, now I'm going to call it A Blue Moon. I'll tell you why in just a moment. Okay, A Blue Moon. There we go. And I'm going to press OK, which is just down at the bottom here on the right hand side as well. So press OK, and now I've got another option. The keyboard is full of little safety nets. In other words, it's asking me, are you sure this is really what you want to do? Yes, it is. I want to call it A Blue Moon, so OK, there we go. Am I really sure? Yes, I'm definitely sure. So here we go, yes. Excellent. Now I've called it A Blue Moon because for now I just want it to appear at the top of my list of all the different songs I've got in here. I've got hundreds of songs recorded in here. We recorded all the books on this particular instrument. They're all contained inside here, so I've got lots. So I just wanted A Blue Moon to appear at the top so I know where it is, basically. But you can see on my little sequencer screen here, I've now got the name A Blue Moon. Great. So next we want to put another track on top of that piano, and this is where we get the multi-track, the multi-layering. The layering of different sounds actually comes in. So on my next track, which is track 2, I have a bass sound already. It's not the bass sound I want to use, so I can change this. This is a 5 strings bass RX, which is quite modern. I don't want to use that. I want to use something a bit more traditional, a bit more like an upright bass player would use in a piano trio. So I want to change that sound. How do I change that sound? Very easy. Touch the instrument icon. There we go. And now the screen has changed and I can see all of the different basses. Again, you may not see the pages that I've got available at the bottom here, but I know, because I've practiced, that on page 1 I've got an acoustic bass. That's the sound I want to use. Yeah, that's more like it. That's the actual upright double bass sound that I want to use. Good. So exit. You can see now, actually, it says here, real acoustic bass 1. The picture hasn't changed, the icon has remained the same because it's a bass sound, but it now tells me the actual sound I've used. So I now want to record the bass on top of the piano. Okay, so I'm going to keep the metronome playing, so we can have the metronome playing there. Okay, I'm going to press record again, stick with multi-track because I want the bass to appear with the piano. Okay, and I can now start to record again. So counting 1, 2, 3, 4. Fine. I'm sort of happy with that. There was a couple of wrong notes in there, to be honest, but it's okay. It's fine. So what do I need to do now, Paul?
I don't know. Sorry, I'm watching something else on YouTube.
It begins with S.
Oh, save it.
Save it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yep.
So I go to my same little drop-down box, which unfortunately you can't see, but I go to the same little drop-down box there, and I press Save Song again, and I press Save again, and it's now saying A Blue Moon. Yes, I want to overwrite the existing standard MIDI file. SMF means standard MIDI file. So that's now going to add the bass onto the piano that I had. Okay, excellent. That's that.
Yeah, it's an always a nervous moment, that, isn't it? Because it says overwrite.
Yes.
It would be better,
Yes.
wouldn't it, if it said update?
Yes. Overwrite sounds a bit dramatic.
Yeah.
It sounds a bit worrying.
Yeah.
You're right, really. I suppose that's what we're doing. We're updating that solo piano to have the bass in as well. It's there as well. Now the next thing we're going to do, by the way, there it all is. Fine, that's good. So I'm now going to put my drummer in, okay? And I'm going to do something a bit special with this, which we'll get to in just a moment. But I'm going to put my drummer into track number 3. Now, you may see at the moment, my track number 3 indicates a guitar. Well, I don't want a guitar. So we're going to press that, and we're going to go into the drum section over here. And I'm just going to use a standard kit. And now, what's happened now is all of these notes have become drum sounds. Marvellous. That's what I want actually. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to use this sound, which is a hi-hat. Have you heard of a hi-hat? If you sit behind a real drum kit, usually just to your left is two cymbals which open and close like that. And a drummer, if he just wants to add a very simple rhythm, just adds, perhaps on the second and fourth beat, which is what we're going to do, just adds a hi-hat as a simple sort of accompaniment. So that's what we're going to do here. So we'll go through the same procedure once again. Record, multi-track, oh yes indeed, and I'm going to start recording the hi-hat after the piano and bass introduction. So here we go. Here's the piano and bass little counting. 2, 3, 4. Piano and bass. I'm not using the metronome now. I've turned that off. So very simple. Literally every second and fourth beat I was putting the hi-hat in place there.
And I think that's the nice thing about that example, Andy, is because actually most people could manage. It's difficult to start playing drums, isn't it, with multiple fingers. It takes a lot of skill.
Some people can do it, but not many can
Yeah,
do it very well.
No.
And now, just using one more finger, I'm going to put another drum sound on top of that by using a very special feature called Overdub. So I'm staying on track 3, staying with the same drum kit, and I'm going to press record and I'm going to press multi-track. But instead of here, I hope we can see record mode at the top, rec mode, REC mode. And we've got overwrite and again another little drop down box. So let me press the drop down box and I'm going to change that to overdub. Now what I'm going to do with overdub is I'm going to use, I think, this cymbal sound. There's another one somewhere around here. Oh, there, in fact, there it is, there it is. It's a bit too bright for me. I want something a bit more subtle. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's all I'm going to do all the way through. Actually, I'll have that cymbal start halfway through the piece. So I'm not going to do anything to begin with, and then I'll get the cymbal in halfway through the piece, the recording, and we can see what happens. So here we go. Here's piano, bass, hi-hat after the introduction, and I'm going to put the cymbal in halfway through. Goes like this. Cymbal. Okay, I'm quite happy with that, I think. So turn off the record, and what do I do, Paul?
You save.
Excellent. And you turn your microphone on beautifully, it's perfect. Yeah. I don't know how you managed to do that, it was lovely. So drop down box, press save, and press save. Yes, yes, a Blue Moon, yes, yes, okay. Overwrite existing standard MIDI file, yes, yes, here we go. Good. Now, next we're going to do the bit that you probably thought we'd do first, which actually is the melody. And we're going to put this onto track number 4. Now, I've got a sound already in here, which is a saxophone sound, which could work. Not a bad sound, very nice sound in fact. But I want to use a different sound to that. So I'm going to choose from the trumpet section a beautiful muted trumpet, which is really lovely. So just to change that again, press the saxophone icon. And now I'm going to find the sound that I want to use, which is, it's called Real Muted DN2. DN2 means that I've got some different effects available over here. And because of course I'm only going to be playing the melody with one finger up here, because I can't play chords on a trumpet, I'm just going to be playing one finger up here, leaves this entire hand free to press the buttons and get special effects. If I want to do that. Okay, that's the sound I want. Excellent. Press exit, and here's my real muted trumpet, and I'm going to add that in after the piano introduction, and it should all come together. Here we go. Record, multi-track, yes. I'm going to put it back to overwrite. Not that it really matters, because there's nothing in here to begin with. I could leave it on overdub for the first recording, but I just feel safer with it being on overwrite, because if there is something in there, which I don't know about, I'm sure there isn't, but it will just wipe whatever's in there out. Okay, so here we go, and we're going to start with a four beat counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, turn off the recording, press save as quickly as you possibly can. Just stop anything.
I've missed my moment. I was going to say save.
Save. Oh.
Go on, carry on.
No, carry on. Go on.
No.
Say it now. You can say it now.
Would you save it now, Andy?
I'd save it now.
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
So drop down box, press save, and press save again. Yes. Okay. Overwrite existing standard MIDI file. Yes. Save again. So there is my, or are my, I should say, 4 different musicians. Okay. That could be the end of the recording if you wanted it to be, but there's so many things you can now do, and this is the beauty of a sequencer, because, and I never said this right at the beginning of our little session here, but a sequencer is a very, very sophisticated recording studio. Now, going back to the 50s and 60s, bands started using this multi-track system. And when you think of, I suppose the classic pop song, which had lots of multi-tracking in, was Bohemian Rhapsody. Remember the Queen number? And all of the different voices that they layered on top of that, just from those four guys, that huge choir sound that they created. And they did it by doing this type of operation, this type of system, multi-tracking. But the beauty of now is I can do different things with this multi-tracking. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the effects on all four of these instruments. I'm going to do that by pressing the menu button. There's a menu button just over here on the panel, just to the right of the screen. Press menu and I get some options, some boxes. The first one is called mixer and tuning. So if I press mixer and tuning, you perhaps can't see, I've got tabs at the bottom here. I've got 7.
Yeah, we can't see them, but we can see them on the main camera. But
okay, so there's some options down here, and I'm just flicking through them here now. Okay, this first one is marked volume and pan. I'm after the pan. Pan is short for panning. Now, to be honest, you may not be able to detect this at home, because we're travelling through the internet and it's coming out into your television, and it depends what speaker system you have on your television. You may have a very sophisticated soundbar, in which case you may be more likely to detect the changes I'm about to make. But if you're just listening through standard TV speakers, you may not pick this up. But this is quite an important point. Panning is actually positioning the sound in different places within the speaker system, because we have here stereo speakers. Okay, so we've got left and we've got right. At the moment, all the panning, I don't know whether you can see this on the screen, is all set in the middle, which means all the sounds are coming out of both speakers at the same volume level. Okay, they're the same, but I can position them differently. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, let's think about this. You've gone to a large theatre to listen to a very famous jazz quartet. Usually the piano is on the left hand side. It doesn't have to be, but usually the piano is on the left hand side of the stage. The drummer is pretty much always in the middle. The bass player is either just to the left or to the right of the drummer. They're usually very close together. And the soloist, well, he could frankly be anywhere, but just for the sake of this process, I'm going to put the trumpet player to the right hand side of the stage. And actually, you may not pick up this as a member of the audience, but you'll be hearing the piano from over that left hand side and the soloist from over the right hand side. And it's a different sound field that you can create. And that's what panning does. It's very easy to do. So I'm going to take track number 1, which is my piano. Marvellous. And I'm going to pan it to the left. Now, hopefully you'll be able to pick this up at home, but I'm panning it more than I would usually pan it. I'm putting it right over to 45 out of the left hand. A maximum panning is 64, so it's pretty left hand bias, this is. Okay. Now next I've got a bass player, and I could pan him slightly left or I could pan him slightly right. I'm just going to pan him slightly right, and I'm going to put him on pan 15. So he's not in the middle anymore, he's just over there to the right hand side. The drummer I'm going to leave in the middle, because drummers usually sit right in the middle. And our trumpet player, instead of being in the middle, he's going to be over here, and I'm going to put him 45 to the right. They're fairly extreme pans, okay, but I just hope you can pick up this in a moment when we play it all together at home. Okay, now I'm also going to change the reverb. Reverb, echo, okay? So we're sitting listening to this famous jazz quartet in a fairly big auditorium. It's a big place. So there's going to be some natural acoustics inside this auditorium, which are going to make the sound sort of echo and bounce around a little bit more. So this time I'm going to change my little tab at the bottom, which I'm sorry to say you can't see, to FX See, it's clever that, isn't it? FX. Yeah.
Yeah, very clever. Yeah.
Are you impressed with that, Paul?
No, sorry,
You're dosing enough there, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
so FX.
it's lovely and warm.
It's lovely and warm. Beautiful. Anyway, I'm going to FX send. And now the top row of controls here are my basic reverb. So there's my piano, which is now very left. But I'm going to turn that up to 80. I'm doubling the amount of reverb. See that echo? Or can you hear that echo? Can't see the echo, can you? You can hear the echo. Okay. I've got a bass player. Well, the bass player doesn't need that much reverb, so I'm going to actually turn that down a little bit. I'm going to put that down to 25 because we are in a big hall, so it will bounce around to some degree. And my drummer, he doesn't need very much reverb either, so I'm going to turn him down a little bit. And my trumpet player, I'm going to put a bit more on him. I'm going to double him up to, I think, 80 as well. Again, just so you can hear the difference that this makes.
I think the golden rule here, Andy, normally, the way I was taught, is the bass you would normally leave fairly dry because it needs to be that distinct, clean sound.
Distinct sound, exactly.
And the problem with reverb on drums is you might want it on the snare drum, but you don't want it on the bass drum because that's also that definite.
And then the bass drum gets very boomy.
Yes. Yeah.
Boomy. So that's why I've turned the bass and the drummer down.
Yep.
You could go all the way to 0, actually. You probably should. But I'm just thinking, well, if we're in this big auditorium, there's going to be some natural echo going on there. But I've turned the piano up, I've turned the trumpet up. Now I'm going to save all of this. Save, that's the important word yet again. So drop down box, save song. A Blue Moon, yep, save. A Blue Moon, okay. Overwrite existing standard MIDI file, yes. And now what I've got in my basic recording page is all of those effects that are now in place. Piano is over there, and certainly in my headphones, it's over there. Bass player's sort of there. Trumpet over here. Now, I hope you heard the difference at home. I know it's difficult through just TV equipment and over the internet and all of those sort of things, but certainly to me, it makes a big difference. In fact, it makes an extreme difference to me because I put those instruments right either side of the stage. Okay, so what else can we do with our recording now? Well, we're going to do something quite interesting. I'm going to play live on top of my recording a different sound.
You've just taken the words out of my mouth, because that's what I was just going to say now, is that obviously you've made the recording, and that's great if you want to save that and send it to friends or share it or whatever you want to do with it, but it's always nice to play along, isn't it?
Yes, it's always great to play along. So I'm going to do this in 2 different ways. I'm going to do it in 2 different ways. Now, all I'm going to do in my track number 5 is I'm going to select...
Oh, you want the screen back on, yeah?
Oh, yeah, that'd be super. I'm going to select an organ sound, okay? And the first way I'm going to play along is I'm just going to beef up the accompaniment, okay? So this organ's going to play a little bit of an additional organ track accompaniment. Does that make sense? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so exit. The first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn the organ volume down a bit, because I know that's going to be a bit too loud, because I just want it to be sort of in the background really. Okay, fine. So let's just play along with it. I'm not recording this. I've just selected the sound from here and I'm just playing along. I will start from the beginning, actually. It makes far more sense to everybody if I start from the beginning, doesn't it, Paul? Really? I think so, yeah. So just an additional instrument to the band there that I was playing, I was performing live. Now, if I wanted to, I could have that organ take the place of the piano. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is in the screen, I have a mute facility. So if I just press that piano twice, you see it's now changed to mute. So this time I'm going to play the organ a little bit louder, but it's going to be taking the place of the piano. The piano is muted, so now my quartet has become organ, bass and drums with a trumpet on top. Yeah? So let's just adjust the volumes a little bit, and here we go. Another way of using the sequencer to mute tracks and play a different sound along. I could record that organ if I wanted to, of course. That's another option, not a problem. The other thing you can do is I can actually now change the sounds that I've used here. So I'm not going to play the organ anymore.
Just before you do that, Andy, I'm just looking at some questions that's come in. I think it's David in Arizona.
Hi, David. Arizona. Hi,
Arizona, yeah.
Wow.
First of all, he said your playing's absolutely brilliantly, so we've obviously got a sound issue.
Well, yes, something's gone terrible. Thank you, Dave. You're very kind.
No, what he's asked is, can the panning be done live when you're playing? Well, yes it can, can't it? But
yes, it can.
You are making life hard for yourself, to be honest.
It's extremely fiddly to do it live.
And unless you've got a musician that is going to be walking around on the stage, which I admit occasionally you get that.
The trumpeter might wander around, I suppose.
Yeah, but you're making life quite hard for yourself. So you're going to show us one thing on this, and then we've got sort of 15 minutes left.
Okay. So
whether we can
with a style then
just do something with a style as well, but do what you were going to do.
So all I'm going to do here is I can change any of these instruments, even though I've recorded them. Okay, so if I wanted to go into the piano and this time select a electric piano, okay, I'm going to select suitcase piano, which is that type of sound. Okay. It's now changed, my little picture, my little icon here has changed to an electric piano. And when I play back, the piano's gone away. I've now got an electric piano. So there I changed the trumpet to a saxophone midway through the playback. So the possibilities are endless, absolutely endless. And this is why I love the sequencer, to be honest. It's a great musical piece of equipment that I can do so many different things with. It's really brilliant.
It's actually a great learning device as well, isn't it?
Well,
because we all, we're seeing, or hearing rather, quite a polished performance. You've obviously given some thought.
Are you feeling all right, Paul? You want a drink? I know it's warm here.
But we've all sat and done recordings, and actually it's been useless but you learn something each time you get it wrong.
Without question. I've been through exactly the same thing. And we're back, I'm afraid, to the point that we always make when we do these videos and talk to people. It's about practicing.
Yeah, it is. It is.
When I first started sequencing way back in 2007, I had a huge gap in the middle, but anyway, that's a different thing. When I first started sequencing in 2000, I was rubbish at it. I was hopeless. But I wanted to get it right, and you need to practice and learn.
And I think you learn about blending different instruments and how different instruments interact. And the hardest bit with sequencing, and then we'll move on to the next bit, and I think you'll agree with me here, is knowing when to stop.
Definitely.
Because you could have said, well, I've recorded 4 parts, let's make that 8 parts, and then let's make it 10 parts.
Let's put a string orchestra on top, and a Viennese, whatever, all sorts of things.
You need to know the cut-off point.
Yes. We might play something at the end of the session where there's quite a lot going on. But with a lot going on, you do have to be careful.
Yes.
You have to be very careful. But I mean, at the end of the day, YouTube, what a fantastic tool, learning tool that is as well. Because I can look at YouTube and go, well, okay, so what is a quartet? What actually makes up a little jazz quartet? Well, you're going to have a drummer usually, and you're going to have a bass player usually. You're probably going to have a pianist, and then you could have all sorts of things. You could have a vibe player, somebody playing the vibes. You could have somebody playing the saxophone, a flute. And you can actually watch YouTube and learn how these people interact with each other, which is what I try, and it's only trying to replicate when I use the when I use that.
Well, sorry, just before you go on, we've got a hello from Bruges in Belgium.
Good grief, international!
I know.
International. Hello, Bruges. Lovely city, by the way. Beautiful city.
And James up in Scotland has actually made a really good point that you could use auto panning, but maybe we'll cover that another time. But we'll do that.
James,
one more question from Alan. When you finish multi-track and take it away from the instrument, where do you save it?
Okay, well that's interesting because that's the last thing I'm going to actually cover, because I'm going to put my song back to its original form, and the quickest way, because I've changed
Hang
it
on,
to electric.
I'm just going to put your screen back on, and then there we go.
I've changed it, track number 1 to an electric piano and track number 4 to a tenor saxophone. I'm actually going to load the song back in to this screen here. So this is the beauty of saving. I can now load A Blue Moon, load it back in, and look, lo and behold, everything's gone back to how I saved it originally. So I've got piano and I've got trumpet. Now this is very important. What we have created up to now is a MIDI recording. Officially, I suppose, a MIDI file, if you want to call it that. Well, okay, well, what does that mean? Well, it means that what I've done up to now will play back perfectly in another PA1000, perfectly. It will probably play back pretty perfectly. Oh, where's our PA5? Oh, we got a it's over there.
Back of the room.
We've got a PA5X over there. It will play back in that PA5X pretty perfectly. If you go down the range, like to a PA700, further down the range, it may or may not play back perfectly because I might have used some sounds that aren't in there, and the instrument will default to what it thinks.
It'll substitute something.
It'll substitute it.
Same as if you put it in the Genos, or Genos 2, or any of the SX series. They will play a MIDI file, but it will select the most appropriate sound it can, but it won't sound the same.
So it won't be, frankly, as good as it sounds when it's played on the original instrument. Now, you really need to make this MIDI file recording into what's known as an MP3. And if you've never heard the phrase MP3 before, that simply means a real audio recording. So I'm changing my MIDI file into a proper recording, which you could put onto a USB stick and play in your car, or you could, I mean, I've still got an old laptop at home which I sort of use now and again because it's got a CD drive in it and I can actually make CDs at home. So if you've got those sort of facilities you can make use of the MP3 much more. It's like a normal recording. It is a recording that you can play back on the radio or wherever you want to do that. So in here we have an MP3 player stroke recorder. So I don't know whether you can see, Paul, if I want to record this MIDI file into an MP3, I'd hold down Shift and press record. You see it has MP3 record next to it there, and then I see not that screen at all. That's not what I wanted to do. Just bear with me for a moment. So sorry, I'm just selecting the right song. Shift record. Then I see that screen. That's the screen I was looking for. And what that means is I can now record my A Blue Moon into being an MP3, a proper MP3 recording, which you then store on a USB stick, which goes in here, which you can then take out and plug into your laptop, plug into your car.
Or you could plug it in the GNOS.
Plug it in the GNOS, because
which plays MP3 files.
Yeah, in there.
Lots of cars have MP3 files.
And of course, using this system is exactly what we've done with the books, the performance books that Keyboard World has available. So I've recorded 2 versions of lots of music. We've recorded what we call the full performance, which is obviously including the melody and everything, and then we've recorded what we call the M1-1, which means we don't have the melody in there, and you can play the melody using the music that's in the book. And of course you can ignore all of that and just play the music that's in the book, because you've got chords. You could choose a style, play it in any way that you actually wanted to do that. So that's the beauty of MP3 and the advantage of an MP3 over a MIDI file. Now, just the final thing I'm going to do is I'm going to delete my recording. So there we go. And again, I've selected A Blue Moon, and I'm going to select the drop down box, and I'm going to delete. Are you sure? Yes. And that has now basically gone after a little thought process. So that recording is now disappeared. Off. Okay. So do we have time?
Yeah, we've got 10 minutes. Let's do 10 minutes.
Okay. So we're going to use now the sequencer in a slightly different way. So again, from this sort of home page here, for want of a better phrase, we're going to use an accompaniment style and use the sequencer. So on one level, this can be a very simple recording. This can just be the recording of you playing the melody using the accompaniment style. But what I'm going to show you very quickly is the merging of the 2 systems. So we're going to play Spanish Eyes. Why not?
Really?
Number.
Really?
Number. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to use Spanish Eyes, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set up a little rumba, and I'm going to use just my keyboard set sounds. So the first sound I'm going to use here is a nylon guitar. Okay. So what I've done is I've set up a rumba rhythm, and I've selected nylon guitar from the keyboard set. Okay. Now I'm going to press sequencer again, and I'm going to press record again, but this time I'm going to select the middle option, which is backing sequence quick record. So let's select that, and once again, okay. Now I've got a slightly different recording screen here, and to be honest, I don't really have to take too much notice of it, because now I can do whatever I want to do. And what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to record the end section of Spanish Eyes, because we're running out of time, but we're just going to do the end section of Spanish Eyes. And to begin with, I'm going to use the nylon guitar to play the melody. You could just put a skeleton track in if you wanted to. Now, what I mean by a skeleton track is if I just wanted to put some rough melody in for now, you can then as we've just done, over record that rough version with the proper sound. But because time is getting a little pressurized, I'm going to play the melody as I hope it's going to be. If not, I might have to re-record it, but we'll see. So I'm going to use a introduction. It's introduction number 1.
Can I just ask, are you
Yes.
are you charging me by the hour?
Yes, definitely.
Can you hurry up then?
Well, I've been here 3 hours, haven't I? So that's fine. Anyway, so I'm going to start the style. I'm going to have the introduction. I think it's a 4-bar introduction. It will tell me in just a moment, I'm sure. So I'm going to play it in the key of C. So the first chord is C. So I've set that going. Here we go. We get a little 4-bar intro.
Keep going.
And it sounds a bit like this.
Sorry. Got a lock up on the camera.
So there was just the closing section of Spanish Eyes. What's the first thing I need to do, Paul?
Save.
Save.
Sorry about the lock up on the camera.
Oh, there was a little lock up there.
A gremlin.
A gremlin crept in from somewhere, so sorry about that.
You look quite good actually, frozen in time. Yeah.
Yes. So press save, and I'm once again going to call it A Spanish Eyes, so it's at the top of the list. A. Well, let's just put. Oh, that's not how you spell Spanish, is it? Spain Eyes, just for speed. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to call that. Okay, are you sure you want to save that? Call that? Yes. So that recording is a simple little recording, just using the guitar sound. Let's play it back. You can hear it. That's the introduction. Fine, you get the idea. I could just keep that, that's fine. It's a style, it's melody, it's fine. But I want to add some bits into that. So what can I do? I'm now going to combine the style recording system with the multi-track system. So I'm going to record again, but this time move away from backing sequence and go to multi-track. Press OK. And I want to use a little sort of Mexican brass sound. I'm just going to turn that down just a little bit. And I'm now back on overwrite again, so if there's anything in there it will go away. There isn't, so it doesn't really matter. But here we go. So here's the introduction. end recording, press save, save song, and I've now got my basic Spanish eyes, the nylon guitar, the accompaniment pattern, and I've just put those little Mexican sounding sort of brass things on top. And I could carry on adding more and more and more and more. In fact, I'll do one more track just to show
Yeah,
you.
and I was just going to say, you can ultimately take the melody out, can't you?
Yes.
You can actually play that as your live
You could play that as your live
bit.
performance. If
Yeah.
you wanted to play that as a piano part or as a guitar part, as it originally is, that's what you can do.
Yeah.
That's what
Okay, so you're just going to add one more track, yeah?
Yeah, just going to add one more track, which is actually just some strings. I'm going to turn those down just a little bit. And I'm going to sort of add a bit of string melody on top here, okay, with some supporting chords and all sorts of different things. Record, multi-track, overwrite there, that's fine. Here we go. Here's the introduction. And again, finally, just save, and there we have our basic Spanish eyes using a style with a couple of tracks built on top.
Andy, thanks. That's
You're
been absolutely brilliant.
Welcome.
And
I hope I haven't bored everybody too much with all of that.
well, I wouldn't say everybody. No. There's a few Zs come through on the messages. But no, actually, that's been fantastic. Because I do want to encourage people to have a go at it. If you subscribe to the magazine, which you all should, in the next issue,
Yes.
you're doing a little bit more in depth about the last bit that you've just
section.
done.
Yes.
And Andy will show you then how to go in and rebalance volumes and all sorts of great things, as well as changing sounds and how you actually play along with it. While I'm just jabbering away, maybe Andy, you could prepare something just to play us out today.
Why not?
On a serious note, we always have a good laugh and a joke, me and Andy, but we are great mates, and well, I just take pity on him, really. And no, it's always a pleasure to have him here, and I hope you've enjoyed that. All I can say is thanks for keep supporting these little live sessions. They will continue, and where possible we'll have at least one a week. I will be going back to Genos next week. It will probably be Friday, but we'll email you, and keep checking out on YouTube. You'll see when we're going to do it. And yeah, thanks for all the questions again. Just check we've answered them all. Somebody said it's very inspiring, and they're going to go and give it a go. So that's
Really?
great.
Good Lord.
That's fantastic.
Well, thank you very much. Glad you enjoyed it.
And I think the other important thing to say is all this today is done on a mid-range
Middle of
keyboard.
range.
This is not
Not a flagship.
top of the range. This is all possible in there. I'll cover it a little bit next week when I do Genos, but we don't want to keep doing the same thing. I've got some other things planned. But yeah, we'll leave you with Andy in the very capable hands. Thanks ever so much. We really do appreciate you supporting us. And Andy mentioned the books. I will give it a plug. Get yourselves off to the website and have a look. Those of you that have bought the books have come back with glowing reviews. So it's just a matter of tempting you to try the first one.
Yes.
But you actually achieve what Andy's doing today, but Andy's done all the multi-tracking bits for you.
Exactly.
So
Exactly
they're great fun to
So
play
hopefully
along
we've done all the hard work.
Yep.
You can just play your melody,
Yep.
and obviously you can play the whole arrangement if you want to.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Of course, but
Yep.
you can do it any number of different ways.
Okay, so on behalf of both of us, thanks ever so much for watching,
Excellent.
and we'll leave you with Andy. What are you going to play, Andy?
So we're going to play Sunny.
Sunny.
So this
Seems appropriate.
It seems appropriate. That's what I thought. And we're using a style here. So
Yes.
this is style based. I'm just adding some piano bits into behind it all. In fact, I'm going to turn that piano down a little bit. It's quite loud.
I'll put your screen back on.
And so this is Sunny, and using a style with all sorts of things going on. It's quite busy, this is. Thank you for watching.